The Microsoft Excel assessment test is a common part of job interviews, especially for roles that involve data entry, administration, finance, marketing, project management, or anything that requires working with numbers or reports. The test checks your skills in Excel, basically how well you can use the program to organize data, do calculations, make charts, and solve problems. It is used by companies to see how comfortable you are with Excel and whether you can use it to complete real-life work tasks. Here are some examples of what can be tested in Microsoft Excel assessment test. How well you can enter and format the data, change fonts, colors, borders, and etc. Can you sort and filter a table? Can you use basic formulas like sum, average, mean and max, count?
Hi there, this is Vadim from Online Training for Everyone. And in this video, you will have everything you need to get ready and pass the assessment test.
In this video, we will walk through real sample questions step by step, so you will not only know what to expect, but also learn how to tackle each part with confidence. I'll share with you the correct answers, detailed explanation, and helpful strategies to boost your chances of passing the test. The questions appear in random order, so I recommend watching the entire video to get the most practice and insight.
Before we begin, let me introduce myself.
My name is Vadim Michalenko. I hold an MBA and master's degree in computer science. I've worked in the information technology field for over 20 years, and I've spent more than 15 years teaching people how to succeed in their careers. I created Online Training for Everyone and the website howtoanalyzedata.net to help people like you pass interview and assessment test and get you hired for your dream job.
Many people successfully pass their tests after watching videos like this. Hopefully, it will help you as well.
If you're short on time and need to prepare quickly for a pre-employment exam, check out the premium practice materials linked in the description and comments below. Before we jump in, make sure to click subscribe and stay updated on the latest questions. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video.
If you have any questions, please post them in comments. I reply to every message. And now, let's go ahead and get started.
Here's an interesting Microsoft Excel test question, which tests your knowledge of Excel formulas. You need to show how to add current date and time in Microsoft Excel using formula, and then format it as long date. Do you know how to do it? Give yourself 5 to 10 seconds to see if you can come up with the formula. And I am going to move forward and show you the solution. In fact, the solution is very simple. All you need to do is type in the now function. Now function returns the date and time in the standard format. To format it as long date, you need to navigate to the Home ribbon tab, and in the number format section, select the long date. Did you figure it out on your own? Hope you've nailed this question and now know how to answer similar problems on the test. Here's an amazing question we see on the test more and more often. You need to find the correct output of Microsoft Excel function, and you're presented with the statement equal sign, floor, and then in parentheses 64,5. You have 4 different choices to select from. Choice A, 60, choice B, 65, choice C, 63, and last but not least, choice D, 70. Take a close look, refresh your memory, and see if you can select the right answer. On my end, I am moving forward to share with you my version of the answer. And obviously, if you have a better way to solve it, please make sure to post in comments. Let's jump to Microsoft Excel, where we can solve this together. Let's put the floor function into the cell B2. Once we type the function, you see that it accepts 2 arguments. The first argument is the number. The second argument is significance. The floor function is used to round number down to the nearest integer based on the multiple of the significance. So the correct answer here is 60, which is represented by choice A. Did you figure it out correctly? Or did you have a different answer? Please make sure to post your answer and solution as well as rationale in comments. Here's an interesting question to test your knowledge of Excel formulas and functions. June is a small business owner, and she recorded her sales figures in an Excel spreadsheet. She needs to calculate total sales for 2022. Which of the following formulas will calculate the total sales correctly? You're presented with the snapshot of data from Microsoft Excel, and you need to select one out of 4 possible choices. Choice A equals sum B3 through B6. Choice B equals add and then in parentheses B3 through B6. Choice C equals total and then in parentheses B3 through B6. And last but not least, choice D equals product and then in parentheses equals B3 minus B6. Do you know the answer? I have full confidence that you can quickly solve this challenge. And I'm going to move forward to share with you my answer. And obviously, if you have a better way to solve it, please make sure to share in comments. To solve this challenge, you need to understand the data and know Microsoft Excel formulas and functions. As you might have figured out, the correct answer here is choice A equals sum and then in parentheses range B3 through B6. Sum function in Excel adds up the range of numbers. And to calculate the total sales for 2022, we need to add up all the sales figures for all quarters in 2022. As you can see, column B represents the sales data for 2022, and rows 3 through 6 represent quarterly sales. Now we know that the correct answer is choice A equals sum and then in parentheses cell B3 through B6. Let's look at why other options are incorrect. Option B, add values B3 through B6, is not a valid Excel formula. Option C, total B3 through B6, is also not a valid Excel formula. And choice product B3 minus B6 will multiply the values in the range B3 through B6 together, and it will not give you the total sales for 2022. In fact, if you looked at the choice D, the values supplied is not even a range. It's the difference between the values of B3 and B6, because we're supplying only one argument, which is the result of mathematical operation B3 minus B6. And in fact, the output of this function, product B3 minus B6, will be negative, because it's a result of a subtraction of 337 minus 439, and the end result will be negative 101.91. Do you have any other thoughts or considerations about this question? Please make sure to share them in comments. Here's an amazing question to test your knowledge of frequently used Microsoft Excel functions. Lakshmi needs to determine the smallest quarterly sales amount for 2023. Which of the following formulas can she use in Microsoft Excel to accomplish this? You're presented with the snippet of data, and you have 4 different choices to choose from. Formula min, and then you have values in parentheses table B3 through table E6. Choice B, min FS, and then value in parentheses B3 through E6. Choice C, min A, B3 through E6 in parentheses, and last but not least, choice D, min B3 through E6. Take a close look, maybe pause this video to see if you can come up with the solution. On my end, I'm going to jump to Microsoft Excel to share with you my version, and obviously if you have a better way to solve it, please make sure to post in comments. I believe the correct answer here is choice D, using min function and then in parentheses supplying argument B3 through E6. To understand the answer, let's look at the data. We have source data for quarterly sales located in the range B3 through E6. We have 4 salespeople on the left, and then we have quarterly sales represented in the row 2. Min function returns the minimum value in the range of cells, and it can be used to determine the smallest quarterly amount for 2023. Since the formula is correct and the range of cells selected is correct, min function will calculate the smallest amount, and smallest amount is equals 253.11. To reinforce the knowledge, let's also look at the incorrect answers to better understand why they are incorrect. Choice A is incorrect because it does not return the valid results. Let's try it. You see that the syntax is not correct. Choice B, min IFS function, sends the incorrect number of arguments into the function and thus generates an error. You've entered too few arguments for this function. Choice C, on the other hand, min A function, has too many arguments and doesn't return any results. So the correct choice here is choice D, when we use the min function to find the smallest sales. Do you have any other suggestions? Please make sure to post them in comments. Here's the very interesting question to test your knowledge of rounding in Microsoft Excel. Technology startup company sent 46 members for an off-site training. At the training facility, they were organized into 7 member groups. Which Excel formula do you need to use to calculate number of teams with all members, ignoring any remainders? You're presented with 4 different choices. Choice A, divide cell A2 by B2. Choice B, you use round down formula and supply A2 divided by B2 as a first argument, and as a second argument you supply 0. Choice C, you use round formula and then supply A2 divided by B2, and second argument you supply as 0. And last but not least, you use round up formula, and then in parentheses you supply division of A2 by B2 and second argument as 0. Take a close look to see if you can come up with the answer. Because on my end, I am moving forward to share with you my version of the solution. And obviously, if you have a better way to solve it, or have any other feedback or suggestions, please make sure to post in comments. I believe the correct answer here is choice B, round down. And the reason is because to solve this challenge, we need to use Excel formula which rounds the number down to the nearest integer. To simulate this scenario in Microsoft Excel, let's use round down formula. And you can see that it rounds a number down towards 0. And then let's supply arguments A2 divided by B2. And the second argument, which indicates how many digits we're rounding down to, would be 0. And then you see that the number of full-size teams is 6. If you don't trust Excel like I do, let's confirm the calculations by dividing the cell A2 by B2 without using any formulas, and you see that the number here that was calculated is 6.5714, and the full number is 6, which meets our criteria for original question. Do you have a better solution? Please make sure your version and rationale in comments. Here's an amazing question which is frequently used for analyst Excel assessment test. Steve is analyzing the dataset of sales transactions, which has gaps in data after system crash. Which formula should he use to determine the number of all revenue-generating transactions? And you're presented with the dataset as well as 4 different choices. Choice A, count A2 through A11. Choice B, count A, and then the ranges E2 through E11. Choice C, count blank, and then in parentheses, dataset D2 through D11. And last but not least, count if C2 through C11, and then star in quotes. Take a close look to see if you can come up with the answer. What's interesting about this question is that all answers will generate the output, so there are no errors that will be generated. But to answer this question, you need to solve the business problem. And as usual, I'm going to move forward to share with you my version of the solution. And if you have a better way to solve it, please make sure to post in comments. I believe the correct answer here is choice B, count A for the range E2 through E11. Once we enter this formula, you can see that there are 8 records that are not blank. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And ultimately, this choice B, will count the number of non-blank cells in the revenue column. Since the revenue column contains the total revenue generated by each transaction, the result of this formula will be equal to the number of transactions for which revenue was generated. And this particular formula will help us answer the question, how many transactions actually generated the revenue? Now let's look at other choices to better understand why they are incorrect. Choice A, where formula is used, is count, and the ranges A2 through E11. There are 9 values counted as a result of this formula. And in fact, this formula will count the number of non-blank cells in the ID column. Since each transaction has a unique ID, the result of this formula will help us answer the question, how many valid transactions were there in total? Now let's look at choice C, count blank for the range D2 through D11. This formula returns value of 1. And this is absolutely correct, because this formula counts the number of blank cells in the quantity column. And it helps us answer the question, how many transactions had no units sold? And last but not least is choice D, count if for the range C2 through C11 with the star in quotes. This formula returns the value of 9. And, in fact, this is absolutely correct, because this formula counts the number of cells in the product column that contain certain text. Since the wildcard was used, which star represents wildcard, all transactions with non-blank product values will be counted. This is why this formula is helpful to answer business question, how many transactions have non-blank product values? Do you have any other solutions or considerations? Please make sure to share them in comments so we can all learn. Here's an interesting question to test how well you know average formula as well as its variations. Isabella is trying to calculate the average new wave sales across all the regions. Which formula should she select? You're presented with the data set as well as 4 different choices. Choice A, average formula and parameters to supply C2 through C10. Choice B, average A formula and parameters supplied are C2 through C10. Choice C, average if formula and the values are C2 through C10 and the second parameters is greater than 0. And last but not least is average if S, and then as the arguments you see the range C2 through C10, second argument is range A2 through A10, third argument is not equal to D, fourth argument B2 through B10, and the last argument is not equals to south. Take a close look to see if you can come up with the right answer. And on my end, I am going to jump to Excel to show you my version of the solution. And obviously, if you have a better way to solve it, please make sure to post in comments. As you might have guessed, the correct answer is choice A. All you need to do is type the average formula and then select the data set C2 through C10 to calculate the average sales value for all the regions. What's interesting about choice B is that technically it is also a correct answer. Average A with the range C2 through C10 will also calculate the average sales, but it includes all the values in the range, even if they have text or errors. In this case, since all values in the range are numbers, the 2 functions, choice A and choice B, will give you the same result. What's interesting is that option C, average if with the values C2 through C10 and second parameter greater than 0, calculates the average of all sales that are greater than 0 and gives you the same result. But it's not a recommended option because the end result may not always be the same as average of all sales. And the last choice, option D, average if S with all the parameters that we supply, calculates the average sales for all products and regions, except for the product soda and except the values in the South region. This is more specific calculation than the average of all sales and does not represent the right answer. Did this question trigger some thoughts or considerations in your mind? Please make sure to share in comments so we can all learn. Here's an amazing question which is not as easy to solve as it seems. Alexandra used today function to retrieve the current date, but it showed some decimal numbers. How should she fix the issue? You're presented with the snippet from Excel, which shows the date as well as the format in cell A2. And it shows that in the formula bar, it used the today function. And you need to select one of the 4 different choices. Choice A, wrong function used. Choice B, affected by regional settings. Choice C, wrong cell format. And then last but not least, choice D, data is centered in a cell. Do you know how to fix the error when using today function? Take a close look, maybe pause this video to see if you can come up with the solution. On my end, I'm moving forward to share with you my version of the answer, but obviously if you have a better way to solve it or have a different answer, please make sure to post in comments. As you might have figured out, the answer is C, wrong cell format. But why? Let's jump to Microsoft Excel to see how we can solve the issues. I try to simulate this scenario in Excel, and you see that cell A1 has a header and cell A2 has the actual value. And even though we typed today function here, the answer here and the value is 44961 instead of the correct today's date. The key to answer this question is in the data format. If you click instead of general and select short date, you see that it will be formatted to the today's date, which is February 4th, 2023. To understand the issue, we need to understand the today function in Excel, as well as what happened when Alexandra typed the function inside the spreadsheet. Today function in Excel is a built-in function that returns the current date as well as the date value. It's a volatile function, meaning that it recalculates whenever any worksheet containing the function is opened or changed. And this is obviously true because today's is changed, and yesterday was a different today than today. So the today function is useful for displaying the current date in a cell. But in this scenario, Alexandra used wrong data format with today function. So as the solution, she needs to correct the data format to desired data format. Did you figure answer on your own? Or did you come up with the different answer? Please make sure to post your answer and solution in comments. Here's an amazing question to test your knowledge of basic Excel formulas. Isabella needs to find the maximum sales figure for March. Which selection is correct? You can see the data set, which shows sales for electronics, appliances, home and garden, and clothing. And sales figures are for January, February, and March. You need to select one of the four following choices. Choice A. The formula would be sum, and the data range will be D2 through D5. Choice B. The formula would be average, and the data set will be D2 through D5. Choice C. The formula will be max with the data range of D2 through D5, or formula will be large with the data set D2 through D5, 1. And last but not least, choice D. Formula will be highest, and the data set will be D2 through D5, or formula will be max with the data set D2 through D5. Take a close look to see if you can come up with the right choice. On my end, I am going to jump to Microsoft Excel to share with you my version of the solution. And obviously, if you have a better way to solve it, please make sure to post in comments. I believe the correct answer here is choice C. Two formulas that can help you accomplish the result are max with the range D2 through D5 and large with the range D2 through D5, 1. What's interesting about the max formula is that it always returns the largest value from the dataset. But large formula allows you to find the nth largest value in the dataset. For example, if I want to find the second largest value for March, I can just type the large formula, select the data range, and after comma, indicate 2. And as you can see, this brings the second value from the top. The first one would be 429.95, and then the second largest value is 360.91. Did you come up with the different answer? Please show your solution and rationale in comments. Here's an amazing question to test your knowledge of Microsoft Excel features. Purchase orders, POs, were mistakenly created with 2021 financial year ID. Which Excel feature allows you to change all purchase order starting numbers from 2021 to 2022? And you have four different choices. Choice A, consolidate. Choice B, flash fill. Choice C, goal seek. And last but not least, choice D, find and replace. Take a close look at the purchase order numbers in Microsoft Excel and see which feature would you choose to complete the action. Did you figure it out? I am moving forward to share with you my version of the solution. And obviously, if you have a better way to solve it, please make sure to post in comments. I believe the correct answer here is choice D, find and replace, because find and replace feature in Microsoft Excel allows users to quickly search for and replace specific text or values in the worksheet. Let's jump to Microsoft Excel so I can show you an example. Here in Excel, I try to emulate the scenario from the question. In column A, you see purchase order numbers. To replace 2021 as a leading year, you need to navigate on the Home tab into the Find and Select area and click Replace. You're presented with Find and Replace box, and here we need to type in 2021 in Find What and replace it with 2022. I am going to demonstrate you two ways of doing the replace. Let's find the first value first. We click Find Next, and Microsoft Excel pointed us to the row 2. Here we can click Replace, and it will replace the value in the row 2 from 2021 to 2022. We can also use the feature called Replace All. which will complete remaining 9 replacements. So I believe the correct answer here is choice D, find and replace. Do you have a better solution? Please make sure to post your answer in comments. I have a surprise for you, and my surprise is the practice question for you to solve. Lakshmi needs to determine the smallest quarterly sales amount for 2023. Which of the following formulas can she use in Excel to accomplish this? You're presented with the data set and 4 possible choices. Take a close look to see if you can select choice A, B, C, or D. And once ready, make sure to post your answer and solution in comments. This would allow me to give you my feedback. Thanks for participating and good luck solving the challenge.
Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you for helping us to become one of the largest YouTube channels to help people become smarter, increase your IQ, and to pass any test. If the content of this video was helpful, please make sure to click the like button to help YouTube algorithm promote this video and help other people to find it faster. Giving us a like is also a way for you to tell us that you need more content like this, and when you tell us, we will deliver it for you in the future. For links to free and premium resources, please check the description and comments of this video. You can also go directly to our website, howtoanalyzedata.net, to download the materials related to this topic. I really appreciate your endorsement, support, and patronage of this channel. And thank you for considering to become a member and considering to subscribe. Please leave feedback, suggestions, or corrections in comments. And all the best on your journey. I'll see you in my next video.